Hey guys, welcome to a very special video I have for you today on this Scorpio new moon. I am your astrologer, Alexandra Irving from Chasing the Bagua, and this is a powerful time for us to get real with our feelings, our psychology, as we transverse a lot of transformation that is going to be going on in a global level, especially affecting the financial circuit, the financial market. There's a lot of pressure and uncertainty, and there's a definite highlight of transformation, depth, and change. So we have to bear witness to ourselves, the responses that we've had in the past lunation cycle as well, because we just came out of Libra season with this powerful new moon that inspired us on a conscious level. This was also at 2 degrees 48 seconds. And so it played a crucial part in the integration of our understanding of love. And now here, this coming Tuesday, we're getting this immense and intense, impactful new moon, partial solar eclipse. Of course, this won't be seen here in the States, but we will feel it definitely. This here on the East Coast is exact at 6:40 a.m. We're going to get this 3 hours earlier on the West Coast. It's going to be a little bit later in Europe and in Australia and these other places where it's actually going to be visible. So get ready. Things are getting intense. This is a lot of change on the financial front, which we've all been expecting. And here we are. We can't really exactly see the quality that is going to come out with this because Uranus is in the 7th house in conjunction with the North Node in square to Saturn still. So emotionally, things are going to be intense. And I think there's going to be big breakthroughs in our relationships, both, just in a interpersonal level, but also with, deep sexual relationships as well. This is a very intense new moon, a very intense eclipse. And these eclipses, the changes are felt with lasting effects for about 6 months before and after. So we can already feel this like building within our lives. And it's creating massive change. So of course, this will hit us all differently depending on our own natal chart. But let's get into this eclipse, right? There's a lot really going on here because it is at 2 degrees 0 seconds. Like I said, this is an intense time for our perception, for our integration of really sitting still within the chaos, because Mars is the ruler of this new moon. If we're looking at ancient astrology, which modern day astrology credits Pluto to be the ruler, which also just came out of retrograde as well, and is actually in a quincunx to Mars. So the energy of primal passion and primal survival can be felt, I would say, throughout this lunation cycle. So we need to get a grip on our assets, on our finances, and how we are using our resources. We have to use it for the best good for ourselves. I think with this energy, there could be a want to escape if we haven't been doing our own personal work. Saturn is just come direct in the 4th house from this. So I think honestly, like there is a stabilizing effect for us emotionally to deal with the great changes that are happening on our personal lives, and then also, you know, in the greater world. Because like I said, there's going to be a lot of intense friction and change, and this can be actually a long course of many things that are changing, perhaps crumbling when it comes to certain businesses. You know, I think some like foreign investment groups are going to start taking over in certain areas, especially when it has to do with like oil and the way that we are utilizing that, especially on a governmental level. You know, I think this does have a tendency for a lot of inflation, and especially also throughout the power grid. So there's, again, a lot going on with this eclipse, so bear with me. 2 degrees, 39 seconds, we have Venus in conjunction to this new moon, to this solar eclipse. And this is very important, as the Sun and Venus did just come into their superior conjunction not long before, just a few days before. So there is this new sense of urgency within our understanding of relationship. And again, globally, this all ties into the financial sector, and possibly, you know, with enjoyment, like the things like leisurely travel could be one thing. You know, I think, again, with fossil fuels, this is going to be affected, and that might be something that comes up, especially as Jupiter is getting ready to retrograde back into its home of Pisces, and it's an actual quincunx to this new moon, to Venus. So things are not going to be felt easy for our daily life. Like, this is 6th house energy. This is also the health industry, right? And Mercury is falling into the 12th house from this new moon, as well as Mars, the ruler, is in shadow in the 8th house. So all this being said, there's a lot of shadow quality, uncertainty, illusions that can be coming out. But then also on, you know, this everyday level, because Jupiter is in this quincunx to this new moon, things are going to feel tight. Mars rules Aries. And again, it's in shadow in this intense square to Neptune. So like I said, there's a lot of change, a rapid change. And I think this can be scary, but also there is this element of beauty, of divinity, of true, like, universal love. And so let us not be bearing the burden of that kind of chaotic pattern within our psychology, because Scorpio does rule psychology. And with this being a south node eclipse, with K2 at 13 degrees, there is this element of harmony, invoking harmony within ourselves. And I'll get to the nakshatra that this is involving, which the ruler is actually Rahu, or the North Node, as it's known in Vedic astrology, North Node in Western astrology. So we, of course, have the North Node with Uranus in the 7th house. So this is very important, and again, is showing an element between Neptune and Uranus being here, that there's going to be a lot of information for businesses, for production, but this is also showing that this is hitting the mass population in a lot of ways. So although we're going through our own personal change, there's like a kind of strange sense of mystique that is going to be occurring as well on a global level. So let's get into the Saros cycle. First of all, this is a Saros cycle 6. eclipse of the 6th south. So this has to do with force. It has an intensity, and it also has an element of relationships. So again, we have Venus, which was here conjunct that original eclipse that happened back in 1049, which was in Pisces. And so there is this element of going beyond our understanding of love on a perceptional level. There's a lot of gifts to be gained. So I think there is a really big point about this, to not get stuck in the delusion, to have the clear perception, again, because this is a 2-degree new moon, the moon being in a easy explanation is, our subconscious. It's also our sensory mind, and especially with Venus there and Mars in the 8th house in shadow, there is this element about taming our desires, taming our need for urgency. There's an element of like sitting still. And Guan Yin, the goddess of compassion, kind of comes up for me with this, because she is very powerful, but there's a grace and there's an element to be able to sit still under this tremendous pressure. So maybe that's something that we can, just remember through this massive time of change. So again, Sorrow's 6th south cycle, this is an occurrence that happens. It actually creates a geometric pattern through the eclipse cycles, and we get this every 18, 19 years or so. So the last eclipse that we had throughout this Saros cycle series was back in 2004 on October 13th. And let's take into account what was going on back in 2004. I mean, we were still in, this big conflict in the Gulf War, which actually lasted for a long time. There was a lot of discrepancy about things that were coming out in the information, concerning Iraq and the war and all this. So this is going to be an element that is happening now with us. I mean, look what is going on. I'm not going to spend too much time on, my research that I've done on this, or, where I've come to this, but this is also, we have to take into account that Scorpio is research, right? It's getting to the point, it's getting beyond the ground. So yes, we are going to be finding out a lot about secrets, and there could be massive power struggles for people, for their homes, and I think this can be a very complicated time. So again, I think with Venus being in a tight conjunction with this new moon, our relationships are very important, and I think there's also a divine grace that is going to be set to us through any and all hard times that come up, because basically, the North Node is with Uranus in the 7th house, and 7th house is relationship, and Uranus really is like an antenna beaming truth and bringing gifts from us. So it's the more that we can awaken to our primal God-given strength, the more that we can be sure and cool and calculated under the pressure, the more that I think we'll just be revering these gifts and being able to have this kind of just heightened and magical component about it. So, not to alarm anybody with the magnitude of this, but I mean, there is a magnitude, but also remember, this magnitude shows a high quality of magic, also of manifestation, I would say, of miracles. So let's not, allow the stress to get to us, or allow other people's stress, or the power struggles of the government stress to get to us. This is a time of deep involvement with the knowledge that we've been through so far. And this is like allowing, you know, this higher mind, higher voice to initiate the certain things that need to happen. So it is kind of like, you know, it's like waiting on a call from a higher up for us to move in the right direction. So ourselves, I think the best thing that we can do is still our mind, be able to, you know, do whatever that helps us stabilize our psychology. You know, astrology helps with this, tarot can help, going to a therapist can help, and also our friends that have been and navigated hard times, or that we know that are like this solid rock. You know, this is also a major sense of support. Also talking about friendships there, you know, if we are having shoddy belief systems, we can get involved with false friendships, with hidden enemies. This kind of thing can happen. And just to put that out there as well. So be sure that you're dialed into your own self, your own rhythm, because this is like hitting everybody globally on a survival place. But again, there's so much magic. And this nakshatra is in Swati nakshatra, which is ruled by Rahu, by the North Node. So there's this element about expanding our understanding of purpose through relationship, through the change, through the allowance of beautiful new energy, right? It's not getting stuck in you know, the winds, in the it's allowing the winds to spread new seeds. And even though I think there's going to be like strange things that are happening, strange information, you know, because that's also the air quality is communication, and Mercury itself is following into the 12th house. We have a lot in the chart about things being hazy. So again, this is just that part of our breath, the potential of our individuality. A lot of this nakshatra of Swati has to do with our individual self. And of course, you know, this can, if we're not careful, have us getting a little egocentric. And I think the world around us, or the kind of marketing, can be very egocentric as well. But there's this part about opening ourselves up to more spiritual potential. Because the Vayu, the Lord of the Wind, is the ruler of this nakshatra, I think there's also a potential for more storms, more hurricanes, more these things, and they can come suddenly, I would say, and really impact businesses and things like that. I also, you know, do think that hunger is an element about this kind of food insecurity type things can be coming up. People maybe not people maybe not be taking care of themselves, right? Under a sky like this, right? Because Jupiter is in that quincunx in the 6th house. So let's look at our beliefs surrounding our health. And that's going to be a big thing. Like, I just really saw an article on the United Nations website, which they're projecting that, like, what was it? 50 million people are going to have heart attacks or something like this. And because of obesity and all this, I'm just throwing this simply out there. But that kind of talk about health, about, you know, the belief systems about health, these are going to start coming up. And also, again, the food insecurity. On a personal level, I think this is really positive, again, for manifestation, for manifesting our beliefs, our integrity, what we're willing to like sit with and embody for our lives, for our greater good, and also for our liberation. There's a quality about liberating ourselves from this. So, maybe that's the individual intent with this, is being able to go beyond our mind, go beyond our psychology, and really get into that here and now, empty ourselves. And that, I think, is the most powerful place, right? Like, let's all be our own eye within the storm. And let us be discerning. Let us be calculating. Let us have hope, I would say, as well. So yeah, I think this is a massive time of change, of transformation, of crisis. I don't really like saying that, but I think, war is probably going to be expanding in some sense, and reality is shifting for us on a large scale throughout this next lunation cycle. And of course, November 8th, we're going to get the total lunar eclipse. So I'll have a video out on that as well. But Mercury's involved with that eclipse, with the South Node. So I think this is going to be a time of great change for the markets, for how things are navigated throughout the world. And this again is supply chain. This is again communication, things breaking down. And by the middle of the month, by that total lunar eclipse, I think electric stuff might be having some more issues. But I'll of course have this all covered in the November 2022 predictive video. If you're not already subscribed to the YouTube, please do now. Share, like, subscribe. I have a lot more on the way. I know this is an intense time, and it is, again, I don't want to let you underestimate your own magic that is going to be reflected throughout your relationships. Again, and yourself, that your vision of what love is, your vision of true love, right? And this is going through the depths of love for oneself, but also for all of humanity. So it's really a big time, and be willing to persevere and be brave, and not let the challenges break you down. That if you are being challenged, call a friend, call somebody that that can care and be a shoulder to lean on. Also be in service, if you can, to others that are going through it. This is big times that we are in. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, like I said, big times. So enjoy the ride. We are in some of the greatest times of our sacred self.